everyone, it's Anita here from Bouncebackability. So let's start by looking at the purpose of worry. Why do we worry? What's the purpose of it? Well, I think first things first, it's definitely a learned response. And it's a learned response to particular past experiences, situations that possibly have caused us some kind of emotional distress, or we realise that the outcome of that particular situation wasn't a good one. And so the concept of worry is that we will now worry today about something that could lead us back down that path. So it's an emotion that's used in lots of protective strategies. It protects us from going to that place of emotional distress again, maybe like we experienced previously. So the purpose of worry really is to draw our attention to something. So what it does is it signals whether there's maybe something we should be doing, or is there something we need to prepare for, or is there something we may need to prevent. And so at times worry can, and I always say this with most emotions, to be fair, at times it can be really helpful because actually it can really kind of motivate you into action. So for example, if there was, I was sat doing this video and I just happened to notice that smoke was billowing into my office, and I would be worried about that, then it would motivate me to want to do something about it, probably stop the video and go and find out what hubby's doing in the kitchen. So there is times where it's helpful. And it can help you anticipate things, and our brain likes that because actually if we can anticipate things, we create elements of certainty, and our brains love certainty. But there are times where it's not helpful. And if you think about earlier on in this video, I talked about that that example where you wake up at 2-3 o'clock in the morning and all of a sudden 2-3 hours later you're still worrying about this stuff. And, worry itself can really create strong feelings of anxiety. It can cause us lots of emotional stress. One, because it's all consuming at times, so our brains can't focus on anything else, so we become less productive. But also, that level of worry can kick off all sorts of kind of processes in our body. So our hearts race a little bit faster, maybe we feel nauseous with the worry. So lots of emotional distress. So I think it's really the first stage in worry is recognizing when it's helpful and when it's not helpful. Let's have a look at the different types of worry. I often find that it's really helpful to really try and understand the type of worry that we're engaged in at any particular time. And so the first type of worry that we're going to look at is real event worry. It's it's stuff that's happening right now that's causing us concern. And so I gave an example earlier. If I was filming this video and I could smell smoke, or I could see smoke, or my smoke detectors were pinging off in the background, that's what we call a real event worry. It's something that is happening right now that's causing me concern and therefore causing me worry. The second type of worry to think about is hypothetical worry. And hypothetical worry is where we worry about something that hasn't happened right now, but might happen in the future. And so this might be, for example, I don't know, I've gone into work and I've heard a rumour of the organisation restructuring, and I start to worry about potentially losing my job. Now, that's really hypothetical because one, there hasn't been an announcement, it's been based on rumour, but secondly, I'm thinking about something that potentially is going to happen, not necessarily something that's happening right now. So real event worry absolutely draws our attention to something that we need should be doing about something, or something that we can prevent. But a lot of the time, hypothetical worry is the cause of worry becoming that all-time consuming. Now, don't get me wrong, there are times where hypothetical worry, we're kind of working out worst case scenario. We use hypothetical worry in some ways is called business scenario planning, where we're planning out all the different scenarios to different kinds of events. And so at times that can be really helpful because it helps us anticipate what's going to happen in the future and whether we've got the resources to deal with that. So hypothetical worry can be helpful, but a lot of the time it isn't particularly very helpful. Because we're worrying about something that may happen, but equally it may not happen. And so we're putting a lot of time and effort and a lot of our energy into worrying about something that just isn't real right now. Now, there's every possibility that the scenarios that you're thinking about in your hypothetical worry may warrant worrying about once they happen. And it may well be that there's something that you can do about, these potential situations to stop it being worst case scenario. But actually what we want to really do in hypothetical worry is recognize that it's hypothetical worry. We want to recognize it's not something that's happening right now, and we want to break that pattern. So how do we break a pattern of worry? The first step in breaking any pattern or any type of worry is really to kind of notice what you're worrying about. So what is it you're actually worrying about? And if there's several things, I always find it really quite helpful just to kind of jot them down on some bits of paper, because, the feeling and the experience of worry can come from lots of different elements of worry. So what am I worrying about? And if you're able to, then jot it down on a piece of paper. Next, I think what's a really important question is to think about, is this a problem that I can do something about? So let's say it is, and this can be something that's happening right now, but actually it could also be a hypothetical worry. So you may have had that kind of, gut instinct about something going on in the organisation. You may have heard the rumours, and yes, worrying about losing your job is hypothetical because it's something that might happen, but equally at this stage it might not happen. But there's chances are you might be able to do something about that. So you might just need to do a little bit of planning in terms of, okay, worst case scenario, if it did happen, what are your options? What would you do? Possibly where would you look for another job? Write it all down, etc. So just kind of writing out your options and just building a bit of a plan. And, that all comes from hypothetical worry. And of course, real event worry is, okay, what am I going to do? You probably aren't going to list all of your options on a piece of paper, particularly in my example around the smoke. But, that's the kind of first step. What is it I'm worrying about? And is there something I can do about it right now? And what are my options? And, really from that list, it's then, what is it that I can do right now? And it may be that there's lots of things that you can't do anything about. And there's maybe things that you can, in which case you would do those things. And then it's a case of letting your worry go. Now, I'll put a caveat to letting the phrase letting your worry go. It sounds very easy. It sounds a bit cliched, if I'm honest. But what I want to show you towards the end of this video is, again, things that you can do just to be able to kind of let that worry go. Now, there might be nothing you can do about it. So you've done what you can. And you look back and you think, is there anything else I can do? And you say to yourself, no, there's nothing I can do. The worry's there, the worry's real, but there's nothing I can do about it. And again, it comes down to actually letting that worry go. So what we'll look at next is, how do you let that worry go? Okay, so letting worry go. I think the first thing is we've already covered off part of it, and that is, that process of knowing what you're worrying about and is there anything you can do about it now? Because once we've done something, it becomes much, much easier to let that worry go. But how else can we let worry go, particularly if it is that hypothetical worry, particularly if there's nothing we can do about it? How could we let that worry go? And sometimes it's very easy to say, let your worry go. And the best thing you can do to let worry go is just change your focus, go and do something, or, think about something else, read a book, do some mindfulness, do some self-hypnosis, download one of our podcasts, etc. And that will change your focus. And when you change your focus, you will change your state. However, sometimes the brain will not be kind to you in letting that worry go. It will want to hold on to it. Don't forget, the brain's purpose in our lives really is to keep us safe. And so what happens if you're really struggling to let that worry go? Well, I've got a great technique that I'm going to share with you that I've used with so many clients and had so much good feedback. And that's called the worry box. So we'll explore that next. So the worry box can be done in two ways. So first of all, it can be done in your mind's eye. So you can just visualize this process. You don't actually physically need to do anything. I do often find that the best way to do this is actually do it physically, and particularly if you're a profound worrier, find yourself worrying about lots of different things. And so if when you've asked yourself that question, what am I worrying about, and you've realised that there's lots of things going on, I find it really helpful maybe to get some sticky notes or just get a piece of paper and tear it up. Well, and then what I would say to my clients is just put one worry per sticky note. And then all you do is you just want to fold it up and just allow the worry to remain on the piece of paper. So you've now emptied the worry from your brain onto the piece of paper. And I would say actually what's really great is to get yourself a little box, whatever that looks like for you. It could be an envelope, and just pop the worry in the box and put the lid on it. And what you've done here is you've actually given your brain permission to let go of that worry, but with the knowledge and safety that the worry is still there. And it may well be in a couple of days' time, you revisit that worry box and look at some of the things that you were worrying about. And often time heals, and particularly with worry, often worries become less and less intense, or the emotion attached to the intensity of emotion that's attached to that level of worry can become less and less intense as the days go by. So you can always revisit it. And often a lot of my clients will say to me, gosh, even a few weeks later, I looked at some of the stuff I was worrying about and I just realised actually there was just nothing I could do anything about it. So the worry box is a really good practical idea. I find it really helpful if you do have one of those moments, and we all do, we're all human, where you wake up in the middle of the night and all of a sudden something pops into your head. You're maybe not in a position to do anything about it because you're snuggled up in bed. It's not maybe the time to put a phone call into somebody that you need to speak to, but just kind of write it down. I always have a pad and a pen by my bedside table. But like I say, you don't actually have to physically have the box. You can almost just visualize yourself doing this. I also, in hypnosis sessions, I've had clients visualize, putting their worries on a balloon and letting the balloon go. That's another really good visual activity that you can do. So we've talked about the kind of purpose of worry and the fact that it's a learned response, and the fact that it draws our attention to something we should be doing or something maybe that we ought to prevent. It's there really so that we avoid emotional distress, but in itself it can actually create emotional distress. And worry is a really key concept of some of the mental health disorders around anxiety, like general anxiety disorder. There's times it's helpful, there's times it's less helpful. And if you remember, we said there's two types of worry. There's the real event worry that's going on right now. And there's also the hypothetical worry, which is us worrying about something that might happen, hasn't happened yet, might happen. So there's those two types of worry. And then how do you break the cycle? And we've talked about, well, actually, you do need to let go of that worry if there's nothing you can do about it. So first step is if you can do anything, do it. And if you can't, you have to let it go. And a really practical way of letting it go is your worry box. But I'd also say, that focus on changing your focus will also really help shift that worry. If you go on our website, if you're a member of our website, you can download the worry decision tree, and there's also a help sheet on worry as well. But for now, until next time, goodbye.